After my divorce, my husband's mistress tried to take my apartment. Either you leave here, or I'll throw you out by force, she shouted at me. But she never imagined that this apartment and all my ex-husband's money actually belonged to. Anna felt the sharp edge of humiliation sink into her chest when Victor, without even looking at her, spat out the words as if they were an undeniable truth. You disgust me, Anna. Look at yourself. You look like a piñata filled with shit. I don't even want to touch you. The knife in her hand trembled slightly as she chopped the carrots for dinner. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't say anything. Not because she didn't have a response, but because it was no longer worth fighting. Fights weren't discussions, they were monologues where Victor destroyed her with words and then left as if nothing had happened. The kids were in their rooms. They had grown used to the yelling, the long silences, the echo of dishes being slammed harder than necessary onto the table. Sometimes she wondered if they knew that love shouldn't feel like this. Aren't you going to say anything? He added with disdain, pouring himself a glass of whiskey before collapsing onto the couch. Anna took a deep breath and continued chopping the vegetables. She wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of seeing her crumble. But inside, something broke a little more every day. Every night, Victor came home later. His perfume had notes she didn't use, and his shirt had wrinkles that didn't match the time he spent at the office. His phone was off limits. He even took it into the bathroom, put it on silent when he was home, and recently, he had changed the password. Anna wasn't stupid. She knew something was going on. But deep down, there was still a part of her that wanted to hold on to the idea that it wasn't what it seemed. Maybe he was just stressed. Maybe the distance between them was due to the years, to routine, to life itself. Mom, does Dad not love us anymore? Camila asked one night, her dark eyes reflecting the same uncertainty that Anna felt inside. Of course he does, my love, she lied. But the lie felt like a betrayal on her tongue. The insults became part of her everyday life. Sometimes subtle, sometimes brutal, but always destructive. You used to be pretty, you know? Victor told her one Saturday morning as she looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. Now you're just any woman. Nothing special. Anna closed her eyes and squeezed the sink tightly. I didn't force you to marry me, she whispered, trying to stay calm. He let out a dry laugh. And you think I'd do it again? Please, Anna. If I had known you were going to turn into this. He left before finishing the sentence. Doubt became a constant poison. Anna started paying attention to the small details. The messages that came to his phone and he quickly ignored. The calls he rejected when she was nearby. The nights when he came home smelling of a cheap, sweet perfume, one that definitely wasn't hers. The fear of confirming this paralyzed her. But the uncertainty was killing her. Laura, her best friend, insisted that she confront it. Anna, wake up. This guy treats you like trash. And you still think he's faithful? I don't know, Laura. I want to believe that. There's nothing to believe. Since when does a woman need proof to get out of hell? Anna had no answer for that. That night, when Victor came home, she waited for him with a proposal. We need help, she said bluntly. Couples therapy. Victor looked at her as if she'd asked him to jump off a bridge. Are you crazy? Therapy? For what? To save what's left of us. There's nothing to save, Anna. Accept it. You make me feel sorry. I don't want to be with you anymore. The world beneath her feet became a black void. Are you telling me that? I don't want this. I don't want you. I don't need this shit. Anna felt shame burn through her neck, scorching her skin. Not because he despised her, but because in that moment, she realized she had been begging for love without even knowing it. And dignity is not something you beg for. The phone vibrated in the early morning. Anna turned her head and saw it on the nightstand. Victor was sleeping deeply, his breath heavy from the alcohol. An opportunity. Her heart raced as she picked up the device with trembling fingers. The screen showed only one message, one that seemed innocent. I miss you. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. There was no name visible, just an unsaved number. Anna swallowed hard and slid her finger to try to unlock it. Incorrect code. But her intuition had already given her the answer. Her life, her marriage, her home. It was all a lie. The phone trembled in her hands. The message was still there, on the illuminated screen, like a brutal proof of what her instinct had been screaming at her for months. I miss you. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Anna felt the air become thick, sticky, as if the room was closing in on her. She looked at Victor, who was sleeping with his mouth slightly open, unaware of the earthquake happening next to him. Anger surged in her chest, burned her throat, made her clench her teeth so hard she thought she would break them. The first impulse was to wake him up with a blow, throw the phone in his face, and demand answers. But she held herself back. Not because she didn't want to do it, but because that reaction was exactly what he would expect from her. And Anna wasn't going to give him the pleasure of seeing her out of control. She took a deep breath and left the phone where it was, with the same precision someone uses to place a bomb and wait for it to explode. She wasn't going to confront him without proof. She wasn't going to fall into his manipulation game, where he would make her feel crazy, insecure, paranoid. This time, she was going to do things right. She carefully got up, making sure Victor didn't wake up, and left the room in silence. The anger and pain squeezed her chest, but there was something stronger than both feelings, the need to know the truth. That night, she didn't sleep. Early the next morning, with trembling hands and her mind full of thoughts, she sat in front of the computer. She knew Victor had a credit card he never used with her. A card that, according to him, was only for emergency expenses. Anna had never questioned it, but now everything made sense. She decided to try. She logged into their shared bank account, sifted through the statements, and like a wound opening suddenly, there it was, the truth. Hotel reservations, dinners at expensive restaurants, purchases at jewelry stores. Payments that never came to the house, but existed somewhere else in another life. In the life he led with her. She felt a knot in her stomach. She opened the images folder on her computer and started taking screenshots of each suspicious transaction. Her hands were sweating as she wrote to Laura. I found it. I have proof. The reply came in seconds. I'm on my way. Don't do anything until I get there. Anna dropped the phone and closed her eyes. There were no more doubts. Victor was cheating on her. Laura stormed into the house like a hurricane, her brow furrowed and fierce determination in her eyes. Tell me you're not going to justify this, was the first thing she said. Anna shook her head and showed her the screen. Laura looked at her with tight lips, saying nothing for a long moment. You need to prepare for what's coming, she finally said. Because this doesn't end here. Anna swallowed hard. What do I do? Laura looked at her sternly. You follow him to hell if you have to. Don't let him get away with it. Anna felt a shiver. The thought of following Victor terrified her. Not because she didn't want to know the truth, but because she feared that seeing it with her own eyes would destroy her completely. But she couldn't stop now. The next few days were hellish with uncertainty. Anna reviewed every receipt, every message, every clue. Victor became even more distant, as if he could sense that something was wrong. Until the final proof came. That night, when Victor came home, he left his phone on the table for just a few seconds. That was enough. Anna, her heart in her throat, seized the opportunity and grabbed it before he could react. What are you doing? His voice was a dangerous growl. Anna didn't answer. She swiped the screen and saw the last received message. I'll see you tomorrow at the hotel. Room 206. I can't wait to be with you. Victor lunged at her to take the phone, but Anna dodged. Who is Eleonora? He blinked, surprised by the name. Then, his face turned into a mask of coldness. I don't know what you're talking about. Anna felt a sharp pang of anger. Don't treat me like I'm stupid, Victor. How long have you been sleeping with her? He let out a dry laugh. You're paranoid. Anna clenched the phone in her hand. I have proof. Victor stared at her, and for the first time in a long time, Anna saw something in his eyes that wasn't contempt. It was fear. That night, the tension in the house was palpable. Victor ate in silence, the kids whispered, and Anna could barely swallow her food. She felt the urge to slam her plate in his face, to yell at him in front of the kids, to make him pay right then and there. But she wasn't going to do him the favor of giving him a scene he could victimize himself over later. She waited for the kids to finish eating and sent them to their rooms. When they were alone, she slid an envelope across the table. "Open it." Victor took it carefully. Inside were all the screenshots, hotel receipts, messages. His jaw tightened. "Are you spying on me?" Anna felt her blood boil. "Seriously? Is that your response?" Victor leaned back in his chair and smiled crookedly. "You're losing your mind." Anna felt the control she had held onto for days crumble. "You're a damn cheater," she whispered, her voice trembling. "And a coward." Victor stood up suddenly and slammed his fists on the table. "Enough with your drama and theatrics, Anna." "Enough with my drama? Enough with my drama. You've been cheating on me for months, maybe years, and now you want me to believe that I'm the problem." He ran his hands through his hair, breathing heavily. "I don't owe you an explanation." Anna took a step forward, envelope in hand. "I don't need an explanation," she repeated softly. "Fine." Victor remained silent, assessing the situation. "What are you going to do? Leave me?" Anna smiled sadly. "You already left me a long time ago." Victor's eyes darkened. "You're not going to make me look like the bad guy." Anna took a deep breath, feeling her world crumble, but standing tall, not retreating. "I don't need to do anything. You did it all on your own." Victor threw the envelope on the table and stormed out of the house, slamming the door. Anna stood there, feeling her heart break in silence. The rage still burned inside her as she decided to follow him. He drove with the lights off, at a safe distance, feeling his own breathing accelerate, as if he were committing a crime. He saw him enter a fancy restaurant. He saw him wait for her. She saw her arrive. Eleonora was young, beautiful, dressed in red, with a look of satisfaction on her face, as if she knew she had won. Anna stayed in the car, watching Victor laugh, how he took her hand, how he looked at her as if she were the only woman in the world. Tears blurred her vision, but she didn't cry. Not yet, because there was still so much to discover. Anna felt like she was running out of air while watching Victor and Eleonora laughing together in that restaurant. The complicity between them was obvious, a connection that hit her with the brutality of a punch to the stomach. It wasn't just infidelity, it was the way he looked at her. That look that had once been hers at some point in their marriage now belonged to someone else. She wanted to look away, but something inside her refused to do it. She had to see, she had to record in her memory every gesture, every touch, every satisfied smile on the face of the woman who had taken her place. She forced herself to breathe, to stay calm. The pain was one thing, but the rage was a fire burning in her chest with a new, unknown intensity. Victor hadn't just betrayed her as a wife, he was now disrespecting her as a person. And she wasn't going to allow that. She started the car and drove away from the restaurant without them noticing her. Her heart was pounding, but her mind had already made a decision. She wouldn't just stand by. There was more to this story. Something didn't add up, something that sent chills down her spine with a sensation that was more than just sadness or anger. It was fear. She wasn't going to be another victim of his lie. The opportunity came without her even looking for it. Victor had a habit that never changed, despite his double life. Every morning, he checked his email on the home computer before leaving for work. For years, Anna never paid attention to it, but now every little detail mattered. That day, while he was in the shower, he left the computer on. Anna passed by the hallway and saw the screen lit up. Something inside her told her to approach. She stopped in front of the desk and saw the inbox open. There were recent emails with subjects she didn't fully understand. Bank account numbers, names of unknown companies, amounts that made her swallow. Her finger trembled as she hovered the cursor over one of the most recent emails. Transfer confirmed. Everything ready for the funds transfer. The message was short, but the sender wasn't just any financial company. She recognized it immediately. A bank in a country known as a haven for dirty money. Her body froze. She sat down slowly and began to read more emails. Each one was worse than the last. Fake invoices, millions in transfers, documents with signatures that seemed to be from Victor. His job, that stable and well-paying job he always bragged about, was nothing but a front for something much bigger. Her husband wasn't just unfaithful. He was a criminal. Laura found her trembling on the couch, her eyes staring blankly. "What happened?" she asked, concerned. Anna took a few seconds to answer. "It's not just a mistress." Her voice came out quiet, broken. "She's his partner." Laura looked at her confused. "What are you talking about?" Anna took her phone and showed her the screenshots of the emails she had taken before Victor got out of the shower. Laura read them silently, her expression hardening with every line. "This is money laundering," she said quietly. Anna nodded. "And Eleonora is involved in this." "She's not just his mistress, she's his accomplice." Laura sighed in disbelief. "You have to go to the police." Anna shook her head. "I can't." "Why?" "Because if I do something hasty, if I report it without enough evidence, he will know. And if he knows, he won't sit idly by." Laura swallowed hard. "Do you think he could hurt you?" Anna didn't answer. She didn't have to. They both knew the answer. The following weeks were a silent hell. Anna acted normally, pretending everything was fine, still being the submissive wife he thought he had. But secretly, she was preparing her exit. She consulted with a lawyer, someone discreet, someone who understood that this wasn't just a simple divorce. She needed to protect herself, make sure Victor couldn't take her children, that her money and assets were safe before he noticed anything. But Victor wasn't stupid. He could feel the change, noticed it in how Anna no longer responded to him with fear, in how she looked at him with a mix of contempt and determination. He noticed it in how she no longer argued with him when he insulted her, in how she was increasingly retreating into her own world. And when Victor felt he was losing control, he did the only thing he knew how to do well: manipulate. It all started with subtle comments directed at the children. "Mom has been acting strange, don't you think?" Camila and Samuel, his children, looked at him in confusion. "Strange how?" Camila asked. "I don't know. She's distant. Like she doesn't want to be with us anymore." The kids furrowed their brows. "Mom is always with us," Samuel said. Victor smiled crookedly and shrugged. "Sometimes adults get bored with their family. They want other things." Camila stared at him. "Mom loves us." Victor laughed, but there was something cold and calculating in his eyes. "Of course, my love, though lately, it seems like she's busy with other things." The poison was slow but effective. Days later, when Anna tried to hug Camila, the girl pulled away. "Dad said you don't want us anymore." Anna felt her heart drop to her feet. "What?" "He said you want other things." Anna took a deep breath. "That's not true. I love you more than anything in the world." Samuel looked down. "Then why don't you talk to Dad much anymore?" Anna felt a lump in her throat. Victor was playing dirty. And he was winning. The envelope arrived one morning, slid under the door. It had no return address. Anna picked it up with trembling hands and opened it carefully. Inside was a note written in black ink. "Stop interfering where you shouldn't. For the sake of your children." Anna felt a chill run down her spine. She looked around, as if expecting to see someone watching her from the shadows. She rushed to lock the door and leaned against it, trying to steady her breath. She had underestimated the danger. This was no longer just a divorce. It was war. Anna held the note between her fingers with an uncontrollable pulse. Her breathing was erratic, her mind a storm of chaotic thoughts. She had no doubts. This threat was real. It wasn't Victor's typical manipulation. It wasn't a desperate message to make her doubt. This was something bigger, something dangerous, something that went beyond a simple divorce. Her eyes scanned the room of her house, every shadow, every corner. The feeling of being watched made her skin crawl. She felt as if someone could be looking at her right at that moment, that every window was an open door to something she couldn't control. She couldn't stay still. She picked up her phone and dialed Laura's number with trembling hands. "Anna, what happened?" Her friend's voice sounded alert, worried. Anna couldn't answer immediately. She swallowed, trying not to let her voice crack. "I was threatened." Laura fell silent for a few seconds. "What?" "Someone left a note on my door. It said to stop meddling where I don't belong, for the sake of my children." The silence on the other end of the line felt like a death sentence. I'm coming over. Don't open the door to anyone." The lawyer looked at her with an expression that hovered between professionalism and genuine concern. "This isn't just a divorce," he said, sliding the papers across the desk. "This is a war, Anna." She knew that. Victor wasn't just an unfaithful man. He was someone with connections, with dirty money flowing through his accounts, with a web of lies big enough to crush her if she didn't protect herself properly. "I want everything I'm entitled to," she said firmly. "And I want full custody of my children." The lawyer adjusted his glasses and sighed. "You know he won't just sit back, right?" Anna clenched her jaw. Let him try. When Victor received the divorce papers, he didn't react immediately. Anna expected shouting, slamming on the table, threats. Instead, he just looked at her with a crooked smile, full of disdain. How predictable. Anna didn't look away. "What did you expect?" He shrugged, as if this was all some insignificant game. "That you'd stay in your place. As always." Anna felt the blood boil in her veins. "I'm not the woman you think I am." Victor smiled, but in his eyes, there was something more. Something calculating. Let's see how long that courage lasts. The first blows came quickly. Joint bank accounts started being drained out of nowhere. Credit cards stopped working. Anna discovered that utility payments had been canceled without her authorization. The house was left without power for 2 straight days. When she called the company, they informed her that the account holder had requested the suspension. Victor. But that wasn't the worst of it. The worst part was what he started telling the kids. "Mom wants to separate us." Camila and Samuel looked at him with furrowed brows. "That's not true," Samuel whispered. "No? Ask her why she wants to take you with her and leave me alone. Ask her why she wants me to stay away from you." Anna felt a chill as she saw the doubt in her children's eyes. "Don't believe her," she whispered to Camila when they were alone. She would never separate them from their father. The girl looked at her with tears in her eyes. "Then why does she want to fight with you?" The poison was taking effect. Eleonora didn't stay still. "You need to speed up the divorce," she said while painting her nails with a nonchalant air. Victor looked at her with a mix of annoyance and exhaustion. "I'm working on it," she scoffed. "Doesn't seem like it. Your idiot wife is still in the house, still with the kids, still has power over you." He clenched his jaw. "What do you want me to do?" Eleonora left the nail polish on the table and looked at him intensely. "Make her surrender." Victor frowned. "It's not that easy." She smiled mockingly. "Of course it is. You just have to destroy her." Anna wasn't going to give in. In a smart move, with the help of her lawyer, she transferred the property of the apartment to her children's name before everything blew up. When Victor found this out, his reaction was immediate. "You can't do this to me." Anna crossed her arms and looked at him calmly. "It's already done." He took a deep breath, trying not to lose his composure. "Do you think you're going to win this game?" Anna looked him in the eyes, unafraid. "This isn't a game, Victor." He let out a bitter laugh. "For me, it is. And I always make sure to win." Eleonora was furious. "You told me that house would be ours." Victor ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "Anna did it before I could stop her." Eleonora slammed her hand on the table in rage. "I won't let some finished woman take what's mine." She stood up abruptly and grabbed her purse. "I'm going to talk to her." Victor looked at her suspiciously. "Talk?" She shot him a warning glance. "I'm not like you. I don't waste time playing fair." The blow came without warning. Anna felt the sting on her cheek before processing what had happened. Eleonora was standing there, at the door of her house, her eyes blazing with hate. "You're a damn thief." Anna touched her cheek and glared at her. "Get out of my house." Eleonora shoved the door open and entered violently. "This is not your house, you idiot. It's Victor's, and it belongs to me." Anna stood firm. "You have no power over anything." Eleonora smirked mockingly. "You think so?" Before Anna could react, Eleonora pushed her against the wall with an unexpected force. "You've got 2 options, sweetheart. Either you leave on your own, or I'll throw you out with punches." Anna felt a fierce rage clouding her vision. She wasn't going to let anyone walk all over her ever again. And if that woman wanted a fight, she was going to get it. Anna stood there, breathing heavily, while Eleonora glared at her with eyes burning with fury. The woman still had her hand raised. The echo of the slap still reverberated in the room like a brutal reminder of the war that was starting. Anna clenched her fists, feeling the adrenaline boiling in her veins. She wasn't going to back down. Not this time. "I warn you," spat Eleonora with a crooked smile. "You don't know who you're messing with." Anna didn't move. She knew any sign of weakness would be like blood in the water for a shark. "Get out of my house." Eleonora let out a bitter laugh and took a step back. "Your house? We'll see how long you keep believing that." She left with the same air of superiority with which she entered, leaving behind a tense silence, heavy with hate. Anna didn't allow herself to tremble until she heard the door slam. Victor was checking his phone with a furrowed brow, his fingers drumming impatiently on the table. His partner, Rodrigo's, messages were becoming increasingly urgent. The police had started asking questions. Nothing direct, nothing that put them in immediate danger, but it was a sign. Something was shifting in the shadows, and if he didn't act fast, he could lose everything. Eleonora entered without knocking, her heels echoing on the wooden floor. "We have a problem." Victor looked at her with annoyance. "What did you do now?" She squinted, irritated. "That idiot still thinks she owns everything. I want to make it clear that she needs to leave." Victor ran a hand through his hair. "I told you to stay out of it." Eleonora leaned over the table, her lips almost brushing his ear. "If you don't take care of her, I will." The chill that ran down his spine was not from desire. That night, Anna locked all the doors and windows. Her heart pounded, not just from the confrontation with Eleonora, but because she knew this was only the beginning. The kids were asleep. Camila had been distant. Samuel wasn't talking to her much. Victor's manipulation was working. Anna felt trapped in a battlefield where every day she had to fight to keep her own children from seeing her as the enemy. When she was heading to her room, a noise made her stop in her tracks. A sharp thud, something metallic hitting the glass. Fear rose in her throat. She slowly approached the hallway window and peered through the curtains. There was Eleonora, standing on the sidewalk, arms crossed, staring at her. Anna felt rage mixed with fear. She couldn't face her while the kids were sleeping in the house. She couldn't risk a scandal. But Eleonora knew that, and that's why she was there. The woman smiled, tilted her head, and raised a single finger, as if giving him a final warning. Then she turned and left with the calm of someone who knows they have the advantage. Anna stood trembling in the dark. Victor showed up at the house 2 days later with a completely different attitude. "We need to talk." Anna looked at him without expression. "We have nothing to talk about." Victor closed the door behind him and sighed heavily, as if he were truly tired. "I'm going to change." Anna felt a bitter laugh rise in her throat. "Do you really expect me to believe you?" "I'm serious, Anna. All of this has gotten out of control." Anna crossed her arms. "What do you want?" He looked down, as if struggling to say it. "I want you to withdraw the lawsuit." Anna looked at him in disbelief. "No." Victor quickly lifted his gaze, and the fury in his eyes was instant. "Don't be stupid, Anna." She didn't flinch. "Sooner or later, you'll have to accept that you can't control everything." He took a deep breath, trying to hold back his anger. "Do it for the kids." Anna felt a stab in her chest. "Don't use them." Victor stepped closer. "I don't want them growing up in the middle of a war." Anna held his gaze. "Then stop fighting." Victor watched her for a moment, as if considering his next move. Then, without saying anything else, he turned and left the house. But Anna knew he hadn't given up. The news came quickly. Rodrigo, Victor's partner, had been arrested. Anna saw the news on her phone while drinking coffee in the kitchen. The words fraud, corruption, and money laundering appeared in the report. Her heart raced. If they had caught Rodrigo, it was only a matter of time before Victor was under scrutiny. The sound of a car stopping in front of her house made her jump to her feet. She peeked out the window and saw Victor getting out of the vehicle. He walked with quick steps, shoulders tense, jaw clenched. Anna knew the worst was yet to come. Anna watched from the window as Victor stepped out of the car with hurried steps, his jaw so clenched it seemed about to break. She stood frozen, heart pounding, feeling the tension in the air becoming almost unbearable. Something inside her told her that this time, he wasn't here to manipulate her with sweet words or empty promises. This time, he was cornered. She heard the front door open with a sharp thud. She didn't bother to ask how he'd gotten in. Victor had always had a copy of the keys, but something in the way he barged in made her realize it wasn't just about control. "We need to talk." Now. Anna didn't respond immediately. She stayed in her place, her back straight, watching him cautiously. "I have nothing to talk to you about." Victor walked toward her quickly, his eyes filled with desperation. "You don't understand what's happening, Anna." "I think I understand perfectly." "No, you don't understand." The way he said it made her hesitate for a second. There was something different in his tone. Something that seemed like genuine fear. "What did you do?" Victor looked around the house as if afraid someone might be listening. Then he lowered his voice. Rodrigo fell. The air seemed to get trapped in Anna's lungs. "The police?" Victor nodded with a grimace of frustration. "Yeah, they're investigating everything. They've been following me." Anna felt a chill run down her spine. Not because she cared about what happened to Victor, but because she knew that a man like him, when cornered, was capable of anything. "What do you want from me?" Victor put both hands on the table and leaned toward her. "I already told you, you have to help me. You have to withdraw the divorce petition." Anna let out a dry laugh. "Don't make me laugh." "I'm not joking, Anna. If you go through with this, they're going to check my accounts. They're going to check yours." Anna felt a shiver run down her back. "My accounts?" Victor straightened up, his expression hardening. "You really think I handled everything on my own? If they start pulling on the thread, everything we have together will be under investigation." Anna's stomach sank into a cold void. "Are you telling me you used my accounts to launder money?" He looked away. "Not directly. But if they investigate, they'll find it." Anna felt the urge to throw something at his head. "You bastard! Lower your voice. You used my name in your dirty business. You have no idea what's at stake here." Anna looked at him with a disdain she had never felt for anyone in her life. "The only thing at stake here is your skin." Victor took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "It's not just my skin. It's yours. And the kids." Anna felt a pang of fear when she heard that. "Are you threatening me?" He shook his head. "I'm not the one who's a danger to you." The way he said it made her shudder. "Eleonora." Victor closed his eyes for a moment before nodding. "She's not going to sit back and do nothing." Anna felt a lump in her throat. "If you think this is going to make me give in, you're sicker than I thought." Victor looked at her with frustration. "I don't want you getting involved in this." Anna took a step back. "You already got me involved, Victor. From the moment you signed my name on those documents, you dragged me into this with you." He swallowed and put his hands in his pockets. "Think about what you're doing." Anna crossed her arms. "I'm protecting myself from you." Victor stared at her for a long time. Then he nodded slowly. "Fine. Do whatever you want. But don't say I didn't warn you." With that, he left the house without looking back. Anna felt her legs tremble. Not because she still loved him. Not because she doubted her decision. But because she knew the worst was yet to come. The confrontation with Eleonora came quickly. Anna was closing the door when she felt a loud knock from the other side. "Open up." She recognized the voice immediately. "Go away, Eleonora." "I'm warning you, bitch. Don't play with fire." Anna gritted her teeth. "You'll have to do more than insult me to scare me." Eleonora knocked again. "I'm going to do more than that." Anna felt a surge of anger. "If you try anything, I'll have you thrown in jail." Eleonora let out a mocking laugh. "Jail? Oh, Anna. You still don't understand who you're dealing with." Anna felt fear mixing with anger. "I don't care. Leave." The silence lasted several seconds before Eleonora spoke again. "If I end up with nothing, I'll make sure you do too." Anna didn't answer. She just stayed listening until she finally left. She leaned against the door with her eyes closed. This was getting out of control. The news came on TV. Rodrigo had been arrested. The footage showed the police taking him away in handcuffs, his face pale and full of rage. Anna watched the broadcast with a sick feeling in her stomach. "They're close to Victor," whispered Laura, who was sitting next to her. Anna nodded. It's only a matter of time. Laura looked at her with concern. You need to take care of yourself. Anna swallowed hard. I know. But something inside her told her that the greatest threat didn't come from the police, but from the people still free. The next morning, Eleonora lit a cigarette with trembling hands. The hotel room where she was hiding smelled of tobacco and despair. She paced back and forth, barefoot, with her blouse unbuttoned and her makeup smeared. She looked at her phone every few seconds, waiting for a message, a confirmation, anything. Victor had promised to call her. They had agreed that they would escape together before the police found them. But there were no calls, no messages. Only silence. She pressed the cigarette between her lips and dialed his number. The phone rang several times before he answered. Where are you? She demanded without greeting him. Victor sighed. At home. Are you crazy? I'm not going anywhere. Eleonora felt a chill. They're going to catch us. Victor ran a hand over his face. There is no us, Eleonora. The cigarette fell from her lips. Are you telling me to get screwed alone? He didn't respond. You're a damn coward. I'm not going to sink any further than I already am. Eleonora gritted her teeth, feeling the rage suffocating her. You're an idiot. If they catch me, I'm dragging you down with me. Do whatever you want. You can't leave me like this. Victor laughed without humor. You would leave me if you could. Eleonora felt a knot of anger rise in her chest. You're an asshole. She slammed the phone down with a sharp thud and threw it against the wall. The screen shattered on impact. This wouldn't stay like this. Victor looked at himself in the mirror with his stomach in knots. His reflection returned a worn-out image, a face with dark circles under his eyes and bloodshot eyes. He had never felt so cornered. It wasn't just the police. It was Anna, it was Eleonora, it was everything he had built with lies and corruption crumbling down on him. He grabbed the car keys and left the house with no clear direction. He needed to think, to clear his mind. He drove through the city with no clear destination, just to clear his head, to get away from everything suffocating him. The phone vibrated on the passenger seat. He didn't think to check who it was. His mind was too clouded. He gripped the steering wheel tightly and hit the gas. He didn't see the red light. The impact was brutal. The world shattered into pieces. Anna was preparing dinner when the phone rang. Mrs. Anna Silva? The tone of the voice on the other end of the line made her tense up. Yes, we're calling from the General Hospital. Your husband has been in a car accident. Anna felt the cold rise up her spine. Is he alive? Yes, but his condition is critical. The sound of children laughing in the other room felt distant. I'm going there. She hung up the phone with trembling hands. She didn't know what to feel. The hospital smelled of disinfectant and despair. Anna walked hurriedly down the hall, feeling like the air was too thick. The receptionist directed her to the intensive care unit. When she arrived at the room, her heart stopped for a second. Victor was lying on the stretcher, hooked up to several machines, with bandages around his torso and head. His face was bruised, with cuts on his forehead and cheek. He slowly opened his eyes when he saw her. Anna. His voice was barely a whisper. She stood in the doorway, feeling the weight of their history between them. Why are you here? He asked, his voice broken. Anna swallowed hard. Because my kids need you. Victor smiled sadly. I'm nothing to them anymore. Anna stared at him. I don't know, but I'm not going to let you die alone. Victor's eyes filled with tears. I've hurt you so much. Anna felt the weight of those words. He had never admitted his guilt. Victor breathed deeply, with effort. I'm sorry. Anna closed her eyes for a moment. She couldn't forgive him, but she could stop hating him. And maybe that was enough. Victor lay staring at the hospital's white ceiling, feeling like his life had been reduced to a space of 4 cold walls. His body was weak, almost immobile, with wires connected to machines that beeped at intervals. His mind, on the other hand, was overloaded, trapped in a whirlwind of thoughts that tormented him more than the physical pain. Anna was sitting in the corner of the room, arms crossed, her gaze fixed on the floor. She didn't look at him with hatred, but also not with pity. She was a silent presence, a shadow of what she had once been, his wife. He swallowed with difficulty. What did the doctors say? Anna looked up and observed him with neutrality. You'll never walk again. The words were like a bucket of cold water. Victor closed his eyes and slowly let the air out of his lungs. He had suspected it. From the moment he woke up and couldn't feel his legs, he knew. But hearing it from Anna made it all feel real. Forever? That's what they say. Victor felt a pang of anguish. He, who had always been a man of control, who thought himself invincible, was now trapped in a body that wouldn't respond. It was a punishment, an irony of fate. Anna settled into the chair and watched him closely. I'm not here for you. He slowly turned his head toward her. I know. I'm here for my children. Victor nodded with difficulty. Thank you. Anna pursed her lips as if those words meant nothing to her. I'm not doing this for you. Silence filled the room. Victor felt every second was a reminder of what he had lost. The days passed slowly. Victor faced his new reality with a mix of frustration and resignation. Every movement was a challenge, every task a humiliation. He depended on others for the most basic things, and it tore him apart. Anna, on the other hand, seemed stronger than ever. There were no tears in her eyes, no doubt in her voice. She was determined to move forward, no matter what he did or said. The children visited him after several days. Camila entered the room cautiously, her eyes filled with questions. Samuel, however, stayed behind, hands in his pockets. Victor tried to smile. Hi. Camila slowly approached and took his hand. Mom says you're going to be okay. He felt a lump in his throat. I'll try. Samuel didn't move. Why are you trying now? The question landed like a heavy blow. Victor looked at him, surprised. What do you mean? The boy stared at him. You never tried to be a good dad before. Victor felt the air grow heavy. I'm sorry. Samuel crossed his arms. That doesn't change anything. Camila elbowed him. Don't be mean. Samuel looked down but didn't say anything more. Victor understood that the scars he had left on his children wouldn't vanish with apologies. Anna organized her life as best as she could. The house, which had once felt like a prison, was now a refuge. Her children were her priority, her driving force. Victor was no longer part of that new life. She allowed him to see them, but under strict rules. He could only visit them in her presence. There was no room for manipulation or emotional blackmail. Victor accepted the terms without protest. He had no choice. The day he left the hospital, Anna didn't come to pick him up. She was too busy living her life. Victor was taken to a small apartment his lawyer had arranged for him. It was a modest place, far from the luxury he was used to. That first night, alone in his wheelchair, with the TV on but muted, he understood what it meant to lose everything. Anna hadn't just left him. She had moved on. Months passed, and Anna never looked at him with resentment again. She didn't hate him. She didn't want to waste her energy on such a heavy feeling. She had understood something important. Forgiveness did not mean reconciliation. It meant liberation. And she, finally, was free. If you liked this story, I invite you to leave a comment sharing how you felt when listening to it. And if you've gone through a similar situation of betrayal, I would love to hear your valuable opinion. I would be very honored if you left a like, shared the video with a friend or family member, and subscribed to the channel. Don't miss the next surprising story appearing on your screen right now. We have guaranteed entertainment exclusively for you. See you in the next video.